All right, guys, welcome back to Cooking Together
for fun. Today we will be making sauerkraut. It is very healthy for the body.
All right, this is so simple. There is actually only two major ingredients, so it's your cabbage and some salt, and then you get to season it however you want. So today I'm actually going to experiment with a new flavor that I've never done before. So it's going to be black pepper, corns, sesame seeds, and ginger. So this is going to be a ginger kind of maybe more Asian flavored cabbage. Sauerkraut. So first thing we have to do is just cut this cabbage up into nice slivers. So we're going to start with that. The easiest way to do that, honestly, is to cut it into quarters. So one down the middle. A nice sharp knife is very, very helpful. And then cut it into quarters, and then it makes it really easy to just cut a little triangle to get the core out like that. All right, so I'm going to get Tiger started on cutting this one. All right, if you'll do that one, and so we're going to cut it into slivers just like that. Okay, maybe about that thick. All right, you want to go get another knife, and I'll use this one?
Yeah.
We'll save this for the chickens. A little lower. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cut. It's a lot of chopping, but it goes pretty quick, especially when you got a helper. All right, salt time.
Shep, do you want a stool? Yeah. Can I do some salt?
Yeah. 1 tablespoon here, sir. 1 tablespoon here, sir. 1 tablespoon here, sir.
Shepard. Then you might want to scoop it.
All right, now it's time. Okay, guys, so we've chopped everything up. We added in about half the salt. We'll add in half the salt after we get swapped. You're going to stay right here, bud. Stay right here. So we're going to put in the rest of the salt here in just a second. So now what we have to do is just mash this up. So we're going to use our hands and crunch it. What you're trying to do is just break it down a little bit to release some of the moisture out of it. So you're literally just grabbing it with your hands, squeezing it, and turning it, and kind of folding it. It's a little bit of work. Once you do it initially, kind of crunch it up, and just like that, Shep. Squeeze it with your hands. Use it as muscles. It'll start to become a little bit softer, and you'll start to feel the moisture or the wetness coming out of the cabbage. Remember, you got to fold it so you get that salt all around everywhere. All right, so once this is all crushed up, what we're going to do is we're actually going to let it sit. Actually, let's go ahead and we'll put a little bit of more salt in there. So we'll do the other tablespoon. Move your hand. The other tablespoon in each one. So once this is all crushed up, what we'll end up doing is we'll let it sit for a half an hour out in the open. You could put like a little cloth on top of it, but we're going to let it sit out for half an hour. That's going to allow it to break down some more. We'll come back and visit after it's sat for half an hour. Let's crush a little. Okay, so we checked it at 30 minutes and it wasn't quite soft enough, and it wasn't quite squishy enough. Not enough water had worked its way out, so I let it sit for another like 20 minutes on top of that. And so you can see it's like compressed down a lot. Like literally all 3 of these bowls were full, and now they're all like half full. And also, hopefully you can see all the water that's down here in the bottom that's come out. That's just from the cabbage and it actually putting water in there. So now what we need to do is we need to put in our seasonings. And so we're gonna do black pepper. So I'm gonna throw, you could grind it up. I'm just gonna put the actual like peppercorns in there. So I'm gonna season that. Each one of these 3 bowls that we got. Put some peppercorn in there.
White.
What else we got, Taggart?
White
Sesame.
sesame seeds.
So we're gonna put some sesame seeds. I'm not measuring these. I'm just going by look. Ideally, if you were following a recipe, you would measure. But I made this a couple times before. I think about probably maybe a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of each in there. So we got our peppercorn, our sesame.
No.
I changed it up too. I'm gonna add some garlic in here as well. So I'm gonna put. I would much rather have fresh cloves, but I don't, and so I'm just gonna use granulated dried powdered garlic. So we're gonna go to town here with that. Just a teaspoon of that in each one, and then I do have
Garlic.
ginger.
No, ginger.
Fresh chopped up ginger. So also along with like just dicing it really super fine. If you are able to like crush this too, that'll help it come out. I'm not too worried about that though with it all really finely chopped up. I think in the fermentation a lot of the juice should come out. So I'm going to put in this into each one here.
What do you want to paint on the table?
And then the last thing we need to do is just mix it all together really good. And then we're going to pack it into a glass jar. It's actually going to sit in that jar for about 2 weeks on your countertop. We'll put a piece of foil, I already got the jar out. We'll put a piece of paper towel and a rubber band on the top. You want to go ahead and do this? We're going to mix all these together.
I found it.
So we're getting the garlic and the ginger and the sesame.
Oh, I can definitely feel how much more wet this is.
Right, yeah, a lot more wet, a lot softer. It's not hard and crunchy anymore.
It's kind of tempting to eat.
Oh, he's tempted to eat it. Listen to that. The kid already wants the sauerkraut, hasn't even fermented yet.
I mean, it looks tempting to eat right now.
So this one, we are squishing it a little bit more, and then we're also just kind of thoroughly mixing our seasonings through it.
Who's gonna eat the juice? I can eat the juice.
Once we get that all in there, and we might actually need 2 jars, we'll kind of see what it looks like. Try not to dump it everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I take the jar and I put it, I use in a little bowl just because sometimes it will, when it's fermenting, it will overflow or bubble out. So you might end up needing this bowl. So we're just going to dump all that into there. Pick up a little bit of the scraps. That's impressive, right? Got all that in there.
Like one slice is missing.
Alright. Okay. That, I didn't think that would make it, but it did. Alright, so what you want to look for is that the juice, the water line on here from the juice comes up to about right here. Ideally, you want this completely covered in water. So I might just add, it's probably going to take maybe like less than a cup. So we'll do that right now just to fill it all the way up. I'm just kind of packing it down in there.
The juice is getting higher and higher.
Yeah, the more I push it down, which is kind of what you want. If you had a fermenting crock, which they make for fermenting sauerkraut, it actually has like a little weight, like a heavy kind of stone piece that sits on top. You like it? Has ever heard licking his hands? Actually, the water ended up coming all the way to the top the more I shoved it down, so it might be good. I'll probably put just a tiny bit
is really strong.
I'll probably put just a tiny bit of water in there.
Mommy.
Yeah, the water pretty much comes to the top.
There.
That looks about right, yeah. If you don't have to, ideally you don't want to have to add any water, but we added just a tiny bit. It was less than a half, maybe like a quarter cup. All right, so like I said, we'll take paper towel, put it on top, rubber band. You get a good rubber band, and we'll just put it around. Let's do this first, though. I'm gonna clean, just because we got a little bit around the edges. I'm gonna clean the jar first. Boom, 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 boom. All right, jar is nice and clean. Now we can. She's fine. What are you looking for, Gigi?
She need a plate.
Alright, we'll get the plate in a second, okay? As soon as we're done. Alright, it's as simple as this. Put that on top.
Paper towel, rubber band.
And this just, for any reason, keeps unwanted visitors out of your sauerkraut, but still lets the air and the fermentation happen. Alright, that's it. This is another episode of
Cooking together for fun.
For Fun. Alright, do you love sauerkraut?
Yes.
Say, I love sauerkraut on three.
I
One,
love sauerkraut.
1, 2, 3.
I love
Sauerkraut!
sauerkraut.
Alright, thank you guys.